Yo, what's poppin' everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Zach Lesage here. Today we're going to be going over the competitive buy list of the cards coming out in Paldean Fates. Now this new mini subset is going to be coming out in January, so we might not necessarily have the craziest competitive change up ever. I do want to put that out there. It's not going to earth-shatteringly change the metagame like Paradox Rift did. However, there are new cards coming out in this set, and I have combed through the set to kind of show what cards could see success. Again, more of a collector set, so if you're a collector and you're ready for some shiny Pokemon, you're going to thoroughly enjoy the set. As a competitive player, this is more of a, hey, we got like a handful of cards that we might want to add to some existing decks, or they might be good in the future at some point. That being said, I'm going to cover it all, so be sure to check out the buy list that we got going on in this video. Thumbs up, give it a like, share, subscribe, and let me know in the comments what cards you're the most excited for in Paldean Fates. Let's check out that buy list. Boom, here we have it, the buy list of Paldean Fates. And you might be like, yo, Zach, how do these cards work out? What do these cards do? Well, I do want to give a shout out to justinbasil.com. I'm using the translations they have on the sites. And if you go to any card store with this list, if you're a Pokeparent, if you're just anyone who just wants to take a screenshot of this right now, be like, yo, Zach from the Shuffle Squad sent me, I'm trying to buy these cards. Once the set's released, you will be able to do this. So we'll kind of go in order, not necessarily of the must-haves or anything else like that, but I'll talk about why some of these cards could be good. So the card that's first up in our list, in order of the set, because it goes by grass, fire, whatever, is the Espathra EX. So ability, Dazzling Gaze. As long as this Pokemon's in the active spot, attacks used by your opponent's active Pokemon cost colorless more. I think that there could be some implications of this deck, where it could be like a Crushing Hammer build, or we might be able to do a lot of damage depending on how many energies our opponent's active Pokemon has. Its ability works out well. Its attack kind of plays towards that because you do 30 more damage for each energy attached to both active Pokemon. So it kind of gives me Mewtwo X-Ball vibes, to the point where I don't want to not pick it up, but I do want, like, it's a light need. And I think that it's one of those things where, like, I'm not going to be upset when I pick up 4 Espathra EX for $1 each, or whatever it is, and have them sitting in my box. And if I get a chance to play them, that's cool. If I don't, it's worthwhile to just own these types of cards, because you never know. I think we saw it with like Entei V the most, where if you do not pick up these cards when they're not necessarily the most playable, a card like this could be $20 in a year if it ends up becoming in a playable deck. So that's why my light needs are worthwhile. Like, there's a lot of other things. Like, the set is largely comprised of gym promos that aren't very playable, starter deck cards, and a handful of other cards. One of the moderate needs that we have in the set is going to be Charmeleon. So Charmeleon is slightly different than what we have from other cards in the set, because, like, we already have 2 playable Charmeleons. This one has 90 HP, so it's level ball searchable if you want to go with the kind of Shul's build with the level ball in Charizard. Its ability says prevent all effects of attacks used by your opponent's Pokemon done to this Pokemon. That does mean that you can't be Sableye even if there's like a Jirachi in play. Its attack's not as good as the one that does 70 damage, but there is some opportunity to have here. If there's more effects of an opponent's attack that could be done, I think that this Charmeleon might be worthwhile, which is why I put it at 3. I don't think we'll ever play 4 Charmeleon. You probably at most need 2. 3 is just in case we're playing a Technical Machine evolution build of this deck, but I do try to be as thorough as possible. One card that I'm actually looking at that I could have included on this list was Magmortar. It does 170 damage during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon can attack. Not because we want to play a Magmortar deck, just because we're likely playing a Zoroark box deck. So just to kind of round those off, Magmortar, Lantern, Executor, Donphan, there's a handful of Pokemon that have attacks that you could use with the Reversal Energy in a Zoroark Evolving Skies box deck. Those are all right, and if you're a Zoroark box player, you're probably already looking at these cards. If you're not, it might be worthwhile. I mean, I think by the time that you try to play around to the deck, it might get rotated, because I think we're having rotation in, I want to say it's like late February, March, could be April. Somewhere in the timeline of 3 months is when rotation likely should be. So if anyone's wondering what we're looking for F block on is what we assume that our rotation is going to be. That relatively gives us, I think it's Brilliant Stars on if we want to have a rough kind of outlook. That would knock the Zoroark deck out of play. So just wanted to kind of throw that out there, that it could be worthwhile to consider. As we scroll down, we got a Frigibax. This Frigibax has 70 HP and it has draw a card. That's why I think we might want to have two. It still has 2 retreat costs, so it's not as good as the 60 HP one. So the 2 retreat costs is holding it back, but it could be an option if you are playing a deck that plays Baxcalibur, such as Chen Pao Baxcalibur. Looking at the Lantern, it's doing 200 damage with Aqua Spark. For the Zoroark box, kind of option there. Executor is doing 160. You can get the reversal energy back to your hands. So there's some cool things. I didn't actually go over the Flittle from Scarlet Violet. You might be like, hey, that's the only card here and that's not on there. If you are building the Espathra deck, this one has free retreat, and it seems like the best one. We got a copy of the Mime Jr., so it says, for 0 energies, Maple Leaf Copycat, your opponent chooses one of their Pokemon's attack. So your opponent's choosing an attack from in play, and they use this as this attack. So if they only have good attacks in play, it's probably good. If they have a bad attack in play, like Ram for 10, it's not good. Could be cool. I think again, like, could be cool is what I'm looking for. And that's why I'd like to have 1 or 2 in my collection. There's Gimmighoul, 50 HP. Maybe not be as good as the Call for Family-ish one. For a colorless energy, Coffer Conceal. Flip a coin of heads during your opponent's next turn. Prevent all damage and effects of attacks done to this Pokemon. I feel like these kind of attacks are sometimes worthwhile depending on how the metagame goes. Maybe it's not good to have a large bench. I'm not sure. But as if I were a Goldango player, I might want to have access to this Gimmighoul. Again, I think it's like a moderate need, because I think the little forms of Pokemon can really change how we're playing these decks. We see it with how we're putting down our routes. Top players can switch in between tournaments and really find the best ways to add them into the deck. So I think that's interesting. I'm looking at the Donphan, 160 during your opponent's next turn. This Pokemon can attack. It might be better to play Crabominable. However, this has Cragalanche, so it discards the top 2 cards of your opponent's deck, which actually frees up a space in the Zoroark deck instead of you playing a Togetic for control-based matchups. Also, just an interesting card. One of the cool cards that I like in this deck, or in this set, is Great Tusk EX. So a lot of people look at this card and be like, it's terrible, and I mean, it kind of is terrible. If this Pokemon's in the active spot at the end of your turn, discard the top 5 cards to your deck. Probably a bad ability to be having. But for fighting colorless, I think, so fighting 3 colorless, you're doing 260. This attack's damage isn't affected by any effects of your opponent's active Pokemon. In a format where we're still going to have V-Star Pokemon, and you can knock out a Pokemon EX, a basic one, or you can knock out a lot of Pokemon with 260 damage, let's be real. Something like this is cool, and you could also play it under Path, and I mean, I think a big attack like this could be good. We've seen it with Slacking V in previous sets, so I think that Great Tusk EX has some play there. One card that I didn't put on this list is Gengar. I was kind of thinking of it, and I don't think it's going to ever be good enough. It does have an ability that says once during your turn, you may switch your active Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. I was thinking that might be kind of cool with an Iron Valiant EX deck. Not sure. I might just pick up Gengars on the side because I think that everything in this set that is not shiny Pokemon is going to be worth pennies on the dollar. Probably not literally. Like cards like Moonlight Hill, which I'll go over in a second, are probably going to be a little bit more expensive because they're going to be sought after by competitive players, similar to Grabber in the Pokemon 151 sets. Cards like Iron Treads and Grey Tusk are probably going to be nothing since it's majority of a collector set and they are not necessarily super sought after by collectors. Iron Treads does 150 damage. For Metal colorless, you may discard a future booster energy capsule attached to this Pokemon. It's now a future Pokemon. If you do during your opponent's next turn, this Pokemon takes 150 damage less from attacks. I think that these tanky type, metal type decks have seen success in the past, so there could be something there. Atticus says you can only use this card if your opponent's active Pokemon is poisons. Maybe Brute Bonnet could take care of that. Shuffle your hand into your deck, draw 7 cards. This is why I put it as a light need. It's going to be hard to make their active Pokemon poisoned, I think. But if I'm playing a Cloth deck, maybe Atticus is the best supporter to be playing. Could be. Same thing with Clive. I'm not sure. It says your opponent reveals their hand, draw 2 cards for each supporter card you find there. If I find 3 supporter cards, we are absolutely chilling. If I find 1, drawing 2 cards is terrible. If I find 2, drawing 4 cards is kind of mid. So Clive could be cool, but we will jump into probably the best card in the sets. I'd actually say the best card in the set, Moonlight Hill. So once during each player's turn, they may discard a basic psychic energy from their hands. If they do, heal 30 damage from each of their Pokemon. Gardevoir is already the best deck in our Paradox Rift format, and I don't see how Moonlight Hill is not going to be helping that in any capacity. We could heal, add more energies to our Pokemon, like Gardevoir from Chilling Reign, or even Zacian V from Celebrations, and really push the archetype to its end. So if there's anything that's going to change from competitive play, it's that Moonlight Hill is busted in Gardevoir. Maybe it's busted in some other decks, but I could see Gardevoir packing a couple copies of this. Again, not really changing the DNA of the deck, not really a new tech card like Screamtail, but it could just be very good in that deck, really bringing it to the next level. And the last card that I think is on this list, I think I covered pretty much every other card, every card on this list so far, is Technical Machine Crisis Shot. So this Pokemon, this card is can attach to, can use this attack. So similar like Technical Machine De-Evolution or Technical Machine Evolution. And at the end of your turn, you discard it. If it's attached to one of your Pokemon. So for colorless, 280, you can only use this attack if your opponent has 1 prize card remaining. In this case, we can actually use it for free if we put it on a Pokemon like Cramorant in a Lost Zone box deck. So we could do 280 at the end of the game if our opponent has 1 prize card remaining, and it does give us an opportunity to knock out a V-Star Pokemon or a Pokemon EX we can knock out a Miraidon that has a Bravery Charm attached to it. And that's how the ruling works, because Cramorant attacks for free if you have 4 cards in the Lost Zone. So Technical Machine Crisis Shot could definitely be good for Lost Zone box decks. I could see it working well because, I mean, you already have the Cramorant, you can slap it on, works well with Lost Vacuum. So if anything, Lost Zone box decks get slightly better, Gardevoir decks get slightly better from this set. I don't necessarily think we're going to see too much play from anything else beyond the Charmeleon, Crisis Shot, and Moonlight Hill. Espathra is probably not necessarily playable right off the bat, and if you're a Zoroark box player, then you got some cool cards. Everything else from the set seems relatively mid, unless of course you're looking for all the shiny bling cards. In that case, the new looking Gardevoir and Charizard EX both look absolutely fantastic. So take a screenshot of this list. It's pretty small compared to most. I think if you brought some extra money from the holidays, or if you scrounged around under some couch cushions, you could probably pick up most cards on this list. But Moonlight Hill, Crisis Shot, and Charmeleons are probably going to be your top 3 cards that you're looking for from the set from a competitive sense. And everything else here is probably worthwhile to have for a competitive collection sense. And they're the cards that I'm also going to be picking up for myself. Maybe a little bit more, like I said, with the Gengar. I always try to include more, but again, with sets like this, not necessarily the biggest set of all time, or not necessarily the most competitive set of all time. Let me close things out. And that's what we got going on for this video today. I hope that you enjoyed learning more about the competitive cards that are coming out in Paldean Fates, and maybe you'll even pick up a few of them as well. If you're looking to pick up any Paldean Fates PTCG live codes, go to PTCGLstore.com and use code TSS5 to save 5% on all your codes. Get those instantly delivered once the set's available. If you want to start stocking up some credits, pick up some other codes from that website and get them logged into your account so you're ready to craft whatever you need. If you want to pick up any sealed product, go to AtlasCollectibles.com and plug in code TSS6 to save on all of the sealed product, including Paldean Fates, once that comes out. If you want to pick up some singles, you can use code TSS12 to pick up any singles, including Paldean Fates, once they're on the site. Also, we have Deck Out Gaming, so use code TSS5 to save 5% off everything site-wide. And there's even some Japanese product if you want to kind of get some cards from the set a little bit earlier. If you're playing in anywhere that's not Asia, pretty sure you have to play English, but those cards look great and they do make for great presents around the holidays. Again, I really hope that everyone's enjoyed watching this video, learning more about the competitive cards, learning about Paldean Fates, hearing Zach Lesage for 10 minutes on this glorious day. So I hope that we catch up with all y'all soon. And again, let me know what you're feeling in the comments. Do get back to every single comment, so hopefully we can have a chat in there soon. I'll catch up with all y'all later. Peace out and have a great one. Want to support the Shuffle Squad? Be sure to check out all of our sponsors in the description to pick up Pokemon TCG singles, sealed, and PTCG live codes. Hey trainers, tired of having too many cards lying around? I know that feeling, and I know what a hassle it is to try and sell those cards. But selling bulk is now easier than ever with TCG Bulk. Find tons of potential buyers in a single place. You just download the app, look for the best buyer near you, and carefully pack your bulk, ship it, and you get paid. It really is that simple. Turn the cards you don't want into the cards you absolutely need for your next deck. You made it to the end. Thank you so much for watching this entire video from the Shuffle Squad. Honestly, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate each and every person that supports our content, watches what we have going on every single day, every single week, even from time to time, and continuously allows us to have a forum to project our creative content towards the Pokemon TCG community. So if you haven't already, be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, and even leave a comment to help boost the YouTube algorithm. That being said, we'll catch you with our next video. Thanks again. Take it easy.